have mercy, look at how the time
And welcome
goes.
everybody to this episode of the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. I am, of course, your host, John Allen. And today we're on the porch. I should make this a new series, On the Porch, with the lovely Snoopy.
Hello, everybody. Here I am.
Now, I want everybody to take notice of her V's and her W's, her S's and Z's.
My goodness. Okay, yeah.
If you guys hear background noise today, it's because we are literally not quite on the porch, but the veranda door to our porch is open. It's a little bit rainy weather, so I didn't want to take the equipment out onto the porch today. But this is something that Snoop and I do just about every morning, where we sit and I get in my quota of making her laugh at least once a day. We sit out on the porch. We drink a cappuccino, a bucket of cappuccino. These big old cappuccino mugs that she has, and
This is the cup I introduced you to,
is that the one right there?
I think so, or similar anyway. Yeah.
You know, that might be the one. Yeah, I think it is. I think that is the cup where I had my first cappuccino with you way back in 2001. 2000 it was. Yeah, about that.
That's when you tried to impress me.
And obviously it worked. Look at you.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Head
here
over
we are.
heels. Head over heels for this brother.
19 years. No, 20. Oh my gosh, it's 20 years.
Now everybody always asks me.
Count.
Everybody always asks me. My guest yesterday asked me, how did I come to Norway? And I tell them it's your fault. Actually, it's Hege's fault.
It's Hage's fault.
Hege introduced us.
Yeah, because
And,
I was not interested.
And then and we met at the world-renowned Quads gym. And you were in there squatting with horrible technique.
No,
so I had to come
was
in and
not. I've been reading about Corey Everson.
I was just fascinated with glutes like that, and you were squatting so terrible.
I was not squatting terrible.
You see what I did there?
learned from the pros.
There's a compliment hidden in a diss right there.
Oh yeah.
You see what I did?
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Yeah. Whatever.
No, that is where we first met, though, at that gym there. And yeah, 20 years later, here we are. Here we are.
So I guess it must be the opposite. You know how these old men have
Just
mail order
rotate
brides,
that
you know?
torch.
So, and get them here to Norway, and I guess now I got you.
I tell people, I met you on a Friday night. I got a sudden splitting headache, and I woke up 2 days later in Norway. That's how quick it happened.
Not quite that quick, but
Not quite that quick. So, I have such a sense of accomplishment after all that work I did clearing out our garage yesterday. Look at what is that look on your face?
Oh, really?
Look at her, she's speechless. She doesn't know what to say.
No, because now I was thinking, what is it that you were going to say? And when you say in our garage, I was like, what did you do?
No, what did I do? I sorted two boxes of books and old DVDs.
That
and
was
you and the kids
yours.
did the rest.
Yeah, your books. So now we have a whole big blue bag of books that you're going to get rid of, right?
Yeah, and I hope we can find somebody that wants to, I hate giving away, but I was going to say I hate throwing away. I've never thrown away a book, but I've given books away, and I hate doing that because I always come back around and read them again, but we just don't have the room. We're trying to clear out we're trying to clear out our garage because I'm getting a home gym set up. I don't want to say any details about what kind of deal this is, but it's in cooperation with let's call it another entity. Let's just put it that way. And I'll talk about that later, but we're trying to get our garage cleared out to have a home gym. I cannot be in a situation ever again where I don't have access to training.
See how nice I am to you? Do you see that now?
No, but I think it's a big decision because it's a big investment. Again, I don't want to come out with any details, but it is a big investment to have a home gym. People think you can, this is the old days where you could go to Kmart. This is before Walmart. You could go to Kmart and you buy those old plastic the plastic covering with the concrete, or sand. Actually, it was sand inside the plastic. Yeah, and you pay maybe $20, and you've got you've got 100 pounds of weights. Those days are gone.
I still have my first weights.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. They're in the garage. You didn't see them?
No, they were too small. I didn't see them.
Oh my goodness! Well, I was 9 years old when I started that.
How much have you grown since you were 9 years old?
Not much.
Not much at all.
Just not upwards, just outwards.
Hey, that's
Yeah. So anyway, you didn't see my first weights. You know what my first weights are?
Was it those little 25 millimeter iron things?
No, 25. No.
What?
No, those socks hanging there. It is.
You got to tell me about that. I haven't seen that.
Okay. Well, it is my dad's old socks, 2 pair, and I fill first a bag of sand and I put them inside the socks. And then I tie it all together, and there's 2 and 2 socks together, and then there's my weights. And I just, 1 kilo each sock, that's 2 kilo weights. And I can put them on my shoulder, I can do squats, I can do calf raises and whatnot.
Pair of your father's socks. How about that?
How about that?
Now, was that before or after you got your first pair of shoes?
Pair of shoes.
She's just a Norwegian mountain peasant girl.
Anyway, so those weights are what? Pretty old.
That's prety old.
Mm-hmm. Still working.
Well, there you go. We got in our daily mention or thought of your father. I think if that man every day something comes up that makes me laugh or think of him in some way every single day. That guy was. I don't know. I don't think there was ever a grown man who was ever kinder to me than him.
No, he loved you so much. Oh my goodness!
And it was kind of funny because he was he was a nice guy, a good and honorable man.
But he never liked people.
He was kind of brutal sometimes with people. Kind of like you. There we go. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, we don't. I don't know how do I say that. It's not that I have anything against people. It's just that
you don't have time for foolishness.
No,
and that's a good quality to have.
Yeah, it's just that I'm too old for that.
I've put up with. You're not too old. What are you talking about?
No, for foolishness, I learned throughout the years.
Up through the years, I would have maybe been better served by having more of a harsh outlook on things like that, like you do. But
yeah.
I don't know. I guess in that sense, we're a good balance. I'm the soft one. I'm the more patient and tolerant. And you're
very
more
nice. Everybody likes you.
I couldn't hear you. Can you speak up a little?
Everybody likes you. With your brilliant smile.
Not everybody. No, nobody is liked by everybody. That's just not possible.
No, but when people get to know you, or, talk with you, then I think just about everybody likes you.
Well, I do make an effort to be pleasant to people, and it's not like my goal is to be liked, but it's just normal for me to be polite and pleasant. So that's what I do. That's what
you do.
And then there's you.
And there's me. I'm not even sharing my biscuits with you.
Well, first of all, you don't have any biscuits over there. Those biscuits. Are cookies. Those are cookies. Not,
biscuits.
You guys, this woman.
Biscuits.
Those are cookies, but she calls them biscuits. It's just weird.
They are biscuits.
Well.
That's what I learned in school.
Should I tell them the story? Yeah, you guys, listen to this. Here's a funny story. The first time I was coming to Norway back in 2000 to visit Snoop,
May of 2000.
We were just dating. Yeah, it was in May of 2000. We were just dating at that time. And, I was a little nervous. I was in the Marines, so of course there was a little bit of international travel in that context, but that's different. International travel by myself, I was a little nervous. I had never been to Norway before. So we were on the phone, I don't know, a week or two or whatever before I was supposed to come. And she had suggested to me that I bring an extra suitcase, in case I want to buy souvenirs or, clothes or, whatever. I would have an extra suitcase. And at that time you could do that for I don't think it cost anything back in those days.
You're allowed to have 2 suitcases with you.
So, and I had seen, I had seen a picture of her car. She had a little, I don't remember what model.
It was a Hyundai?
It was a Hyundai something or another, like a 98.
Hyundai Accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I knew she had a small car. So I started thinking, okay, how is all this, luggage? How are all these suitcases going to fit in that car? So I asked her, I said, hey, if I bring another suitcase, what are we going to do?
Put it in the hanger, of course.
And she says, well, we can put it in the hanger. And then, okay, long pause while I'm trying to think. So I'm like, excuse me, what did you say? And she said again, we can put it in the hanger. And I'm just like, I just don't get it. The there's a hanger in my closet, so I'm picturing maybe that she's got this, maybe Norwegians have this weird thing that goes across the inside of the car and some way of hanging suitcases. I don't know, but I just let it go. I was in love. I wasn't going to try and argue with her and reason through that difficult situation there. So I just let it go. And she says, yeah, and it's a long drive. It's about a 2-hour drive to the airport and down to the house. Oh yeah, here comes the ice cream truck.
Oh my gosh.
That's the ice cream truck. Yeah, none for me. We're here. We're busy doing a podcast. This is business.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so she says, yeah, it's a long drive. It's about 2 hours from the airport and down to the house. You might get hungry. She said, maybe I can bring you some biscuits. And I was like, oh my good, did I hit the lottery? What old girl gonna hook a brother up with some biscuits? I'm like, and I said, are you serious? Do you really, you want to do all that work? And she says, yeah, it's work. What are you talking about? It's just biscuits. I'm like, all right, old girl gonna hook a brother up. So I land at the airport there. We go out to the car and I'm all curious about this hanger arrangement she was talking about. Real curious about that, and pretty doggone hungry. I purposely didn't eat on that plane because I was ready for some homemade biscuits. Old girl's gonna hook a brother up with some biscuits. She said it. I didn't ask for it. She offered me the biscuits. So we get in that stupid little blue Hyundai that she had, and there's a trailer attached to it. I'm like, okay. They call a trailer a hanger. So there was that. That problem was solved. That mystery was disposed of. So then we get in the car, and then she hands me a roll of, I think they were called Muddy Ejects, like the cheapest. They taste like paper. Like there's these thin little wafer cookies they were, not biscuits. I was so we started off that vacation or that visit with a lot of disappointment on my end. I was disappointed because I was looking for this hanger solution you were talking about, and I was expecting my biscuits, and I got a trailer and some Muddy Ejects, some stupid cookies.
But then you got into my shoebox apartment, and it was all forgotten. Right?
And it was what?
All forgotten.
Oh, yeah. No, so that was, I don't know, our marriage is based on a long series of miscommunications, starting with the hanger and biscuit episode.
Yeah. But you enjoyed it.
No, that was great. It was really fascinating to be here that first time.
Mm-hmm. You almost left me,
and
too.
You
almost left me, remember that?
Oh, you tried to be so doggone brutal. Okay, mountainous Norway, right? And we were both in shape, but she was in shape in a different kind of way. She was used to being out. Yeah, but you were also in shape in a different kind of way in that you were used to being out and walking uphill in the nature and all that stuff. And I wasn't used to that. So she gets this, I don't know, she has this aggressive thing about her.
No. Stop, because you need to start from the beginning. Who told me, you better be in shape, girl, when I get there?
Yeah, but come on, you can't take a joke?
No, you
can't
said
take
that.
a joke.
No.
So I joke and say, yeah, well, I don't know. We were talking about training and working out and all that stuff. I said, hey, you better be in shape because we were going to work out together while I was here. I said, hey, well, you better be in shape before I get there.
And
she takes it seriously.
I work out. I started working out.
Girl was tight.
Twice a day.
Cuts in the thighs and everything, and abs and all that stuff. So anyway, we go out to walk up on the other side of this of the river here in the city. And there's this very steep trail system. It's very steep. And here goes old girl, ponytail swinging, jumping from rock to rock like a doggone mountain goat. And I was broken after 10 minutes. broken. And I said, if you're going to try and be tough like this, I'll find a flight and go home. I told her.
Oh, my gosh.
See, I'm not afraid to stand up to you.
Oh, yes.
You're not that spoiled.
Yeah, no. Well, you didn't have much choice, really. I almost left you out there. And you didn't know your directions, right? So.
Oh, gosh. I would have survived. I would have survived. I'd be like a scary old black mountain man out there in the mountains still 20 years later.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Bigfoot. Bigfoot is loose.
No, this is... We've had our adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a good breeze coming in that window.
It's going to storm, I think.
And again, people, you're going to hear background noise every once in a while. A car will drive by. You heard the ice cream truck. That's all part of the podcast. There's no editing here. This is the intention that you guys will get a taste of what it's like for us on these mornings when we sit with our cappuccino and just shoot the breeze.
Well, it's not quite morning. Actually, it's kind of late.
See, now you've just ruined the mood for everybody.
I didn't know that.
Because by the time I upload it, well, okay, so it's 1 p. It's 5 minutes before 1 p.m. here in Norway. But by the time I get it uploaded somewhere in the world, like all my friends in America, it'll be morning for them. Oh, yeah. And now you just, oh my gosh! Why don't you tell them I'm sitting here in my underwear with my crusty feet and no, I have shorts.
You do have shorts. I do. Yeah, well, no, we went fishing already.
Yeah, her and the kid. I went and trained this morning. Kids got an early start and went down to the river. But let me ask you though, in all seriousness, do you really think that fish in the river is safe?
Of course. But of course,
I can't get. Yeah,
listen,
I don't know.
that river is cleaned up. When I grew up,
it is. They say, yeah. And I've seen the change since I've been here.
And the salmon. That goes in there doesn't live there. It just comes here to have their babies, and then it goes back out. Babies.
A normal person would say they come in here to spawn, but she says they come up here to have their babies.
I didn't know that word.
They go to the salmon hospital. They go to the salmon midwife.
No. Yeah, but I didn't know the word in English. Gyta. I couldn't,
Stop swearing, okay?
Yeah, anyway, so, yeah, it's safe. Of course it's safe. Hege said that she and her brother, they used to fish when they were kids in the 70s.
But that's when it was filthy, wasn't it?
It was filthy big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, I'm sure they threw back whenever they...
Oh, I don't know. Maybe they gave it to the cats. Who knows? Okay. I used to fish in the fjord. Well, yeah, if we got ørret, what's that? Trout? Something like that. then we would eat that. But usually we got something we call we called it dassmort. I don't know what you would call it. It's a tiny little fish that we just fed the cat. The cat really didn't want it.
That would be in English. I don't know.
And we fished with bread. We used bread to fish it with. Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Hey, look at those two faders there on the far left.
What's that? Oh yeah, those.
Are they even?
Things?
Are they even?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want you drowning me out with that deep bass voice of yours. This is my podcast, okay? I'm supposed to be in the foreground.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. By the way, how did it go yesterday? You haven't told me. With that guy you had a podcast with yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was excuse me. It was a lot of fun. Jeff Hogue. He has a master's degree in history. He knows his stuff. So we started out by talking about his journey through. He moved from Buffalo, New York, to California, the Los Angeles area, and we talked about what a big change that was, because he went there with very little money in his pocket and no job lined up, no plan.
When? Like,
Wow, this was before this. I'm trying to remember, when did he say it? 2003 or 4, 5,
Oh, okay.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He's younger than us. Yeah, you know, and then the recession comes, you know, and he worked through all that. He went from having nothing to now he works as a salesman in telecommunications, doing the corporate America thing there in California. Doing quite well, and he does his podcast a couple times a month.
About some history, right?
Yeah, the history of the Cold War.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who are
Interesting.
there's a lot of people who are interested in that type of podcast, and he's an interesting guy. Very very cool to talk with. It's a good time.
So has he been like in the Soviet Union or anything like that?
No, he hasn't been in the Soviet Union. No,
Has he been there?
no, no. He's just studied history, and that whole thing about the Cold War was his main interest. So he turned it into a podcast. I couldn't imagine, you know, my podcast. Of course, I do a little bit of research. If it's a guest that I don't know, I kind of look into their background so I know who I'm talking to. But that's about it when it comes to research. I couldn't do it, but he has to sit and research and write a script for each podcast.
Wow.
I would assume that's why he's only doing it twice a month.
Yep. Okay,
Hats
well,
off to him.
that's
I couldn't do it. That's like
interesting.
going back
Wow.
to school, and I just
No.
couldn't do it.
Been there, done that. Going to school, I mean.
Why was it so difficult to get you to do this?
Oh, you know, busy.
Why can't you sit still? You're like a stubby little strawberry blonde blur in the house. Why can't you ever sit still?
Because I have to do stuff, you know.
Have to? That's a strong statement.
Yeah, I have to. I have to feed you.
Kick your
and
feet up.
clean-
Let me coach you. What? Feed me and clean me. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or clean around you anyway.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, now look what you have me doing. Cleaning up the garage. My gosh, half that garage is full of tools. My dad's old tools. What am I going
That's
to
a
do
lot
with
of
that?
tools in there.
Yeah, I can't get rid of that. I need those.
No, I'm not saying get rid of them. Stack those up against the wall.
No. I need to have access to them too, you know.
Yeah, but only one side is going to be my training equipment.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
I'm trying to build a legacy here. Get your stuff out of the way so I can build my legacy. No comment?
No, I'm just trying to be nice. You don't want me to say what I wanted to say
So
right
when
now.
she's quiet, she's nice. Okay, is that the way we're supposed to interpret that? Oh boy.
Well, no, I'm gonna. You know what? You have your room here.
Yes, I do.
Studio
This is a
thing
great
here
studio. Yeah,
that
yeah.
I gave
And
to you.
my wife is you're such a supporting wife to let me have my play space. And people don't call it a man cave. That just sounds so, ugh. This is not a man cave. This is my studio. This is where I do my music and I do my podcast. And
I put
this
up
is my
all
space.
these pictures for you and curtains and all that stuff.
Every once in a while, when I post a picture of me in my studio, and if you look at the artwork in the pictures, and then there's like a tapestry hung on the wall and things like that. All of that stuff was picked out by Snoop. So she's got the artistic eye.
But well, it's not. It's just put it up. But the thing is, you know that carpet thing that's hanging on the wall. You know what that
tapestry,
is?
yeah.
Yeah. You know what that is?
No, where did you get that?
Up from my dad's old house up north where he grew up. They had it always hanging above the couch in the living room there.
Oh yeah,
It's been there forever, as
So that's
long as
from-
I can remember. Mhm.
that's from our place up north there, up on
Yep.
Island.
Yep.
Gosh, we need to get up there. Oh,
Yeah.
you ever think one day we'll just drop everything and just go up there? All you need is a fishing pole, well, a boat, fishing pole, potatoes, and love.
Oh, you mean like
to live up there. Yeah,
To live up
just
there?
drop everything and
Sure,
go.
if we go bankrupt, I'll do that.
Let's see, what can I do to waste some money then?
Oh my goodness.
No, that is our place of peace up there. I tell you,
But
it's
that's hard work. Oh my gosh, you haven't been there. You have not been there when there's orkan, whatever that is, and
storm, hurricane.
Storm, yeah, like a big storm, like 32 seconds,
hurricane.
meters a second,
Hurricane.
And it's dark. And you're walking in
I've
snow
only been
up
there in
to
the
your
summer.
arms.
I've only been up there in the summer, but as long as you have a tractor, then I don't see what the big deal would be. I mean,
Really?
people up there get used to the weather. As long as there's a tractor to move the snow so you can get
that's
around.
true. Yeah.
You know, those people are tough, and they that's the way they live.
Yeah.
And we would adjust to that as well if we were up there.
Yeah, but it wouldn't work with a tractor. You couldn't keep that road open because you turn around and it's all closed again.
Yeah, well, we saw that when we were living up in Norwegian.
Oh,
That it would get plowed, and 10 minutes later, it's covered up again.
it's just horrible.
Remember, the snow was so high up there.
I went
It was
skiing to the car.
Yeah, but remember, it was so high on both sides of the road, and when the wind would whip up, it would be like being in a tunnel, like a hurricane in a tunnel. It was a whiteout condition. You couldn't see anything. I would turn around and like if I had a meeting to go to, I'd turn around, go back home because it just wasn't safe. I'd call and say, "Hey, I can't make it. There's because of the storm." And they'd be like, "What storm?" And it would literally be blue skies in town, windy, but blue skies. But for us, because of all that snow stacked up on both sides of the road, it looked like it was, hurricane conditions. It was crazy.
Gosh, I'm
Crazy
so glad
up
I'm
there.
done with that. They have 2 meters snow still up there.
Still up there.
Oh, and they may. They're going to have snow all summer long.
Yeah.
Remember that year? It snowed.
Yes, it did. What was that? Was it 2012?
I think it was 2011.
2011?
And it was, that's
a
when I
good year.
decided,
It's a good
I
year.
am not going to do this again. I'm getting out of here.
No, I miss it up there, but coming down here was a good move. I mean, this is where our friends are. This is where our careers are. But I look forward to those retirement years, going back up there to just imagine we retire, we can spend a whole summer up there if we want to.
There's a lot of work up there.
Yeah, but it's not going to be. See, that's the thing. If you retire smart and you have the finances to fix up that place, because those old folks who are living up there, they're not working and repairing constantly. They've done the work and their places are solid. Our place falls apart because it goes a couple, 3 years sometimes before we can get up there and do any real stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what? We have 2 extra hands here, the kids.
Well, yeah. Well,
Put 'em to work.
you know what they did the last summer? They
painted that barn.
The whole barn. They're good workers. Up in those ladders, high up. I guess if
you get scared?
the child service people were there, I would be in trouble. But,
Well, no, they'd see their black kids and okay, that's okay. Look at you.
anyway,
Do you worry about I should ask you, how much do you worry about social media and these kids getting on there? I just read something the other day that now, because of, I don't know, I guess the pedophiles have more time to focus on what they want to do.
know.
They said that there's been some serious, just more incidences of kids getting, I don't know, what do you call that? Cyber molested, I guess.
yeah.
That's some scary stuff.
The police. I tried to get Savannah to actually be a little bit more on Facebook, because the police have like their thing on Facebook, their site. But I think they have it on TikTok too. So hopefully she looks at that every now and then. But hopefully, we are talking with them about all that stuff and reminding them and all that, and hopefully that will work. And
that's all you can do, is make them aware and keep an eye out over their shoulder. But I think we're good at that. We do it to the point where it actually irritates them, and I think that's a good thing.
yeah.
I shouldn't say them, because our youngest is hardly on any of that kind of stuff, as far as we know.
Yeah, no, he doesn't
He's
have
not
any
interested.
social.
Yeah, he's not interested.
Well,
in
he's
that.
too young for social media. He's not getting anything
absolutely.
yet.
Yeah.
It's, all his friends has it, but he's not old enough.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But
Crazy.
that's, whatever. He'll survive.
You chilly sitting there?
No.
You're over there shaking like a chihuahua.
I'm not.
Or is that my bad eyes?
That's your bad eyes. I want more coffee.
You want more coffee?
Mm-hmm. Or cappuccino.
You want to make another cappuccino?
Kind of. But
Should we?
Yeah, no,
should we pause this and then? Because I kind of want more as well.
Really?
Should we pause this and then come back and continue?
Yeah.
Okay, people, we're going to pause. For you guys, it'll be a microsecond. For us, it'll be about 15 minutes while we make some more cappuccino. Or cappuccino, as old girl says. Hit that button over there, would you, Snoop?
The rec.
There you go. Okay, and we're back. Again, a microsecond for you guys. 15, 20 minutes for us. The wonders of technology. I can't get that Doobie Brothers song out of my head.
Which one?
Minute by Minute, where Michael McDonald says, hey, don't worry, I've been lied to. I've been here many times before. Girl, don't you worry, I know where I stand. I don't need this love. I don't need your hand. I know I could. All that, yeah.
Oh.
1978. I think they won a Grammy for that album. I think that was like the big breakthrough for the Doobie Brothers with Michael McDonald.
1978, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Gosh, I remember that like it was yesterday when that was coming on the radio. I've told you about this. Radio back in those days especially was very segregated. You had the black stations and you had the white stations. And I remember on 93.1 WZAK out of Cleveland, and they played that song. And then the DJ afterwards said, yeah, that's right, y'all. That's a white boy singing that. And it was just like,
wow, amazing.
It was just amazing that first of all, that a white guy was singing like that. And he was kind of, and I put this in air quotes, accepted by the black radio stations, because that stuff just wasn't happening back then. Yeah.
Such a different world from where I grew up. I listened to the radio on Saturdays at 5 o'clock, Barnetimen, a child...
Kids TV.
Radio, kids radio.
I'm sorry, kids radio, yeah.
And then if we were home sick or something during the week, we would hear at 9 o'clock, Nitimen. And there were little talking and little music, but it would be the music from the 50s and 60s. 1978, I was listening to the Smurf.
Hold on now. Were the Smurfs out in 1978? No.
Yep.
Were they?
I remember I had a tape. I got a tape with the Smurf. That got stolen. I think it was... Yeah. I think I know who it was. We had visitors over and
Should we get him?
It was gone. Yeah, one of them are dead now, so I guess.
Oh, there you
okay.
go.
Yeah.
Justice.
Oh my gosh.
That's mean.
Oh, that's terrible. When
terrible.
you say that, I am mean. Oh my gosh.
But you see, the difference
No.
difference is I say things like that joking. I say it in a joking way. You say it in a and then you throw the sign of the devil in the air when you say things like that.
Sign of the devil. Okay. Yeah, that's but that
you
is
guys had a totally different exposure to radio and music and all that stuff.
One radio
back then.
channel.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
One radio channel. Well, no, I'm wrong there. Radios actually we could get from all over the world. If we sat there and adjusted and all that. Radio Luxembourg. If you you ask anybody my age and older, I guess. Oh. Everybody knew about Radio Luxembourg because that is what are you pointing?
I'm pointing at your coffee cup 5 inches away from my mixer.
Oh, but I have control as long as you sit still.
My goodness.
My coffee cup is not tipping. Now you interrupted my. thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was everyone wants to hear about Radio Luxembourg. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, never mind. Moment is gone.
The moment is gone.
Yep.
The most stolen moments. Oh, boy.
I guess you just lose out on that one, don't you?
Wow. I'm
Yep.
so
You
disappointed.
never learn about Radio Luxembourg.
We'll never know anything about.
Never ever.
So what is that you're eating over there?
Lefse.
Lefse,
I'm a little hungry, so
a Norwegian staple. That's Norwegian gourmet right there.
it's kind of dry. But it's
Kinda.
okay.
Now what is that? That's like a bread type of thing, but isn't it full of? It's like
Full of
dough with
sugar.
sugar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's some cream thing inside
Oh yeah. What
with
kind
sugar
of-
in.
Like you mean like made of milk and egg or something?
I don't know what it is. Butter and sugar,
Okay.
I think, and something. I don't know how to make food. You know that. So
Do I ever?
so this is bought. Of
You don't
course.
even know the difference between biscuits and cookies. So I did not marry you for your culinary skills. In that sense, we are far from a traditional couple. We've come a long way since the 50s.
But I have introduced you to some interesting food. Remember that whale meat we bought in Bergen?
Now that yes.
That is the best whale meat
people,
I've ever had.
I'm
Oh.
telling you, whale meat is some. It might sound gross, or it might sound, save the whales,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. To the best of my knowledge, Norway is quite responsible with their harvesting of whales. If you ever get the chance, and I don't know that that's available anywhere in the States. I don't know, but if you ever get the chance to eat whale meat, you've got to do it. That is some of
is
the best,
good.
and it doesn't. You would, I don't know. Some people who don't know their biology might think it's going to taste fish-like, but
It's
no,
not,
it's
no.
not. It is. It's nothing like it. But then again, it's not a meat taste. It's its own thing. It's its own thing.
It's very
whale meat.
tender.
But, oh
Remember,
gosh,
it was
I love it.
smoked whale
Oh,
meat.
my
Remember,
gosh.
and that's the best
Yes.
whale meat I ever tasted. But I grew up on that. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
That was like the poor man's food when I grew up. Actually, whale meat.
That
My dad used
explains
to,
your. Yeah, go ahead. I was
My
gonna say-
dad used to make that. Oh,
Yeah.
Here we go, my dad again. He would, we would get whale meat, and he would hammer it, with this club thing.
to
he had.
tenderize it.
I guess. And then would fry it on the pan, and then he would make brown sauce, and put everything in a pot, and with pepper and salt and whatnot, and flour,
Yeah.
and it was good.
I think part of the seasoning was the dirt and grease under his fingernails. Her father was he was a working guy. He always was swinging a hammer or sawing something or fixing something. He was
Well, he
constantly
started as a carpenter at 15.
constantly working, and I'm not saying his hands were dirty, because they weren't. He washed them, but it was impossible to get them 100% clean. So I used to tease him and tell him that it tastes so good, it tastes so different, because the seasoning is coming from under his fingernails. That's kind of gross, I guess, but he and I used to laugh about that all the time.
And his hands were so big, remember that?
He's a small guy. That's where you get your stature from. He was a small guy, little guy, but quite strong. He was that old man strong. He was born in 34, people. So he had a lifetime, literally a lifetime of hard physical backbreaking work. There's a long story to that and everything that this guy did, but he had that strength that you can only get by doing that kind of work. And he, for a little guy, his forearms were, I'm not the tallest thing. I'm kind of squat and stubby myself, but his forearms were the same size as mine, and that's saying a lot. And then his hands, if we were to make a fist, his hands extended like a couple of knuckle widths wider than mine. He just had those worker hands.
Kind of like me. When I was doing the massage and all that stuff, remember my forearms? They were kind of powerful.
You still got ripped forearms, though.
Yeah, but now they're kind of, compared to back then, they're smaller. But yeah, I don't think they make people like that anymore.
They're out there. You got guys who are carpenters. You have guys who are
but they
plumbers
give
doing
up.
that kind of work.
They
That's
give up
true.
by
There's a certain
the
hardness.
middle of 30s. They get into some
I was
office
just
or
going to say,
something.
there's a certain hardness or certain toughness that seems to be missing.
Yeah. Like my dad, he grew up on a farm up there where you had to have. He told me stories where they had to have a rope from the house to the barn to hold on to in order to be able to walk to the barn because of the storm. And he was working from he was 15 as a carpenter, taking care of all his siblings, working all over Norway so that he could.
And how many siblings?
Make
There was
money.
like 6, 5.
Oh, I think they were 9 altogether. So
9.
yeah.
Yeah, but then some of them passed away.
Right. So I guess maybe I don't know, 5, 6 that was home when he was out working, and his brother and his wife again taking care of them, and then tough life.
Gosh, I miss your father. The stories he would tell from the war.
Oh, yeah.
For those who don't know, that area of Norway, Finnmark, was just totally burned to the ground by the Germans during World War II. They had
The Russian came to rescue
They had
us.
German soldiers occupying their homes.
an idiot out
You got to
here.
close that door. There's a bonehead out there. There you go. What was I saying? Yeah, they had German soldiers in their home,
living there.
So it's just
And they
rough life, as you said, hard life.
yeah, because my grandfather, he was in that war at
The
Narvik.
battle for Narvik.
Yeah, and then when he got back, he had his guns and he had radio, so he was doing what do you call that? Underground
Resistance. Underground resistance, yeah.
Right. So they had all that
And
stuff
if they would have found that radio, then that would have been the end, probably for the whole family.
for the whole family.
They'd have been sent to the camps or
Yep.
just killed, shot on sight.
And then they had that neighbor up in the woods there who tried to get into the Nazi party. So he would rattle them out and say, yeah, they have the radio and all that. And therefore, they had Germans living there. And they tore off all the wood from the outside of the house to see if they hidden something between underneath the panel of the house.
Yeah.
And they never found anything. My grandfather would bring my dad and his brother on his little, what do you call that, when they went out and did things that was illegal.
Yeah, out on their little
Escapades or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hiding behind the...
It's a different life.
Yeah.
Different life.
Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting. But that's another story we can talk about some other time, I guess.
I'd like to get somebody. I guess when you get up to that age, the language might be an issue. But it'd be great to have somebody from those days come on the podcast and talk about what they experienced.
Yeah,
I
but
think
they
it'd be hard to
won't.
find someone who would speak English, though.
Yeah, and they are not...
And they don't like to talk about that stuff.
No, my dad never really liked to talk about it. It was when I was an adult. Then he would tell little tiny pieces when I was a kid. And then he didn't want to say anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then... and when I got a little older, he would tell some, but he would. There were still things I would sit and I ask, but what about this? Nope.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with that culture, you don't talk about things, you forget it. If you talk about illness and problems and
Bad luck,
so on,
you're going to bring it back.
then it comes back.
Yeah.
So you just hide it.
I get it. That's their way of dealing with the trauma of those times. But I guess I worry about a piece of history being lost because no one wants to.
It's terrible because, like some of those stories that he told,
Some of them are going to be gone. They're going to be lost.
Yeah, and it's so. Just let me take one example.
Go ahead, take one example.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was at Hakstaben, which is where the boat and the store was.
Up on Silent, people.
Yeah. And the Germans, the Nazis, was there, and they were gonna have their little base there. So they started building an outhouse. And back then they put the outhouse on the side of the river, right? So those people on the down there by the dock and so on, and all of a sudden here comes a Nazi floating out down the river and out in the ocean, dead, you know. So of course that was a big hustle, and then some other German went up there to see what went on, and here comes the second one floating, dead. Mm-hmm. And I asked my dad, "But what happened? What happened? What were you?" Oh no, that's nothing to talk about.
He wouldn't tell you. Yeah,
wouldn't tell me. And so the Germans. Oh no. Here's more of the story, because then the Germans, when they gave up, when there was like 2-3 floaters coming down the river, so then they left, and as their boat went out from the dock, there was a guy who started running up in the woods. My dad and his friend, I'm not sure if that was my uncle. I don't remember. Anyway, so they were running after him because the German boat came back.
Yeah.
Because this guy, he was going to go up there and radio to London what went down, right? So they ran after him and said, "Oh, the Nazis are coming back. The Nazis are coming back." And this guy, he had brought the radio out. It was like in a big wooden box. So he didn't have time to hide it because the Germans were running up the hills. I guess they must have seen him or something. So he went up there. He ran into the woods to start chopping wood. So my dad and his friend, they took this box, put a lot of rocks on it, put a piece of wood, stick thing, and pretended to play like they had a ship there and started throwing rocks at the Germans.
Oh, yeah, he told me that. Yeah, he told me that. Yeah.
So, and then the Germans came and asked, "Have you seen any?" "Yeah, just that crazy guy over there chopping some wood and all that." So they actually saved him. But my dad said, "Well, but on the way home, they were beaten by just about every neighbor along the road
for causing trouble
because they were scared.
Yeah, sure.
They could have gotten caught. They would have gotten killed.
Yeah, that was nothing to play around with. That was if they'd have been caught, they'd have been either sent away to a camp somewhere or just killed on the spot.
And their family.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, God, we should count our blessings that we don't have to live through that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, we just have this pandemic thing now.
Yeah, but I think I've said this. Yeah. I think I've said this on just about every episode. When I look back and see how things are being handled in the States, it just breaks my heart because I see the difference. Here, it is calm. Of course, you've got a few outliers who are trying to, be rather loud in their protestations on how things are being handled. But for the most part, everybody's following the recommendations of the government, and things are going fine. We don't have an out-of-control number of infections or deaths. The healthcare system is solid. Nobody's, they're not having to bury bodies out in people's backyards. Everything is fine for the most part here. Yep. And then I see the way things are back home, and it's... I don't know. We're lucky. We're lucky to be here.
We're very lucky to be here.
I never thought I would say that I am lucky to be in Norway instead of back home in the States, but I can say that now. We're lucky to be here instead of back home in the States. Yeah, and that hurts to have to say that. Or not to have to. I don't have to say it. It hurts. It hurts. You understand? You see what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. Yeah, and it's remember, I always kind of wanted to move back and all that, but I haven't mentioned that in a long time. Because I think
it's different now. It's different.
Yeah, it's different. I don't think I can go and visit, but I don't think I want to live in the
Get that mic
States.
a little closer to your face. You can put it down.
I can kiss it.
You can stop talking dirty. This is not that kind of podcast.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, but
you can bend it down. Bend it down. There you go. If you push more on the end there, it's easier. There you go.
Here you go.
Isn't that more comfortable?
Sure.
Oh boy.
Anyway, John.
Somebody because you're somewhat of a legend. The way I tease you and make fun of you and the things that I post on social media
People
about you
think
and all
I'm
that.
crazy.
Oh, but well, there's people, I've gotten messages from people who literally ask me if you exist.
Really?
Are you a character I have made up? Or do you?
Oh my God. That's terrible.
Oh God, I think that's hilarious.
It's a good thing
So-
I don't go to your stand-up things, I guess, huh?
Oh gosh, I'm ruthless. You poor thing.
No wonder people don't like me.
No, you've done that yourself.
No, just sure.
That's a few decades of practice. If people like you or don't like you, you've done that yourself. No, I do make fun of you in my stand-up routine, and it gets some good laughs. But I tease because I love, it's like the kid in high school that used to pull the girl's ponytail and knock her books out of her hand and stuff like that. Why was he doing that? He's doing it because he liked her.
Oh, okay. Because I thought they were just being mean. So I used to beat them up.
Well, but you, I don't know. It's easy to tease you because you're different. You are not. You don't even talk. You don't even. Norwegians have an accent when they speak English. Most Norwegians speak English in that way. You don't even speak English the way Norwegians
That's
do.
because
It's
I've been
different.
living in the States.
No, that's no excuse.
Of course it is.
Look at the difference between you and Hege. She's been living in the
Yeah,
States.
but she's been living there for a long time.
Yeah, but it's the grammar, it's the pronunciation of certain words, it's
What,
the way
you're
she
saying
the
I
sentence.
don't have the right grammar or something? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. Should I go down the list? Listen to this podcast when it comes out, and I'll get out my red pen and we'll.
Be careful now.
What? Be careful of what?
I can start teasing you
Are
with
you,
your
are you
Norwegian.
threatening? Are you threatening me? No, it's but you've done some incredibly cool things. One thing that you did that I'll never forget. This was just. Well, I'm going to name two things here. One was, now people have heard of if you're a musician, especially if you're a fan of old classic rock and whatnot. You guys know who Eddie Kramer is. Legendary producer and engineer. He had for a while his own record label. I don't know if he still does. Produced Jimi Hendrix, was an engineer for Led Zeppelin, Kiss, all kinds of groups like that. But this was back in 2004 or 5 or something, and he was here in Norway because he was promoting a Norwegian band, a metal band, hard rock metal, whatever you want to call
gosh. it.
Remember them? Hangface was
Oof,
their name.
yeah, remember that was terrible music.
So that they were going to have their release concert, and then in combination with that, it was like a music, like a competition, a song competition. Bands could submit their music, and Eddie Kramer himself would listen to it and choose which bands would play for a competition for that Hangface release concert. Now, of course, everybody that submitted their music, it was rock, metal, things like that. And then here I come with my music and my band. Shout out to those fellas in Loyal Oak that I was playing with at that time. Gosh, I miss those guys. Yeah, anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. So I submitted my music, and it was more of a soul R/R&B type of thing. It just didn't fit.
Did you submit that, or
Yeah, that's the whole reason why I was there.
Yeah, but I thought I gave him that. Didn't I give him?
Listen,
yeah,
see,
or
you're
whatever.
getting it twisted.
Oh,
You're getting it twisted.
Okay.
Originally, the whole reason why I was there, because this is in Oslo at Gamle. What's it called?
Gamla?
Yeah, Gamla. Yeah, and that's where the release concert was, and the song competition was.
Okay. Yeah,
So I had submitted my stuff, which was nothing like
that's true.
what everyone else. So we're there, and you were
Very pregnant.
very pregnant with our first kid. So this was it was either 2004 or early 2005.
It must have been spring or summer 2005.
There you go. Yeah, right before you're in
Summer
your
2005.
belly was
yeah.
sticking further out than you are tall. and I had been, for weeks ahead of time, just, oh my gosh, Eddie Kramer. I just couldn't believe that I had the opportunity to submit music that he possibly would listen to. So the strange thing was that he did listen to it, and me and Loyal Oak, we did get chosen to play at that release concert. Wait a minute. Hold on. No, that's not it. That's not right. We didn't play at that release. No. Hold on. No, let me back up. We did not get chosen to play at that release concert, but we went anyway. You and I went anyway to see the bands play and just to see Eddie Kramer. Never did I think I would get a chance to meet him. So Eddie Kramer is there in this crowd full of, long-haired headbangers, totally not our musical environment at that time. And you're there pregnant. And what did you do? I have this image in my head of you walking with your stomach sticking out like 2 feet ahead of you and just kind of like tapping people with your belly to get them out of the way. And you went right up to Eddie Kramer and practically grabbed him by the ear.
Well, not by the ear, but by the arm.
And dragged him over to me.
The music was so loud, I couldn't even talk.
Yeah, when I'm talking about headbangers, I mean, it was hard rock, metal, and you brought him over, and I got to talk with Eddie Kramer we stood there and talked for 15 minutes, and I will
things
never
I do for you.
Oh my gosh!
See?
Badass little woman. That's what you are.
The things I do for you, John.
There's not a lot of people that can say they got 15 minutes with Eddie Kramer, but I did. And then after that, what happened?
What happened?
Remember, me and Loyal Oak, we got invited down to his company party down there on the beach.
In Lillesand.
In Lillesand, down south. And we played there.
All night long.
All night long. I had to quit because I lost my voice, but the band kept playing. They went over and started playing Norwegian cover songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Remember that? I had to stop. I couldn't sing anymore.
And I had to go home. And
you were so pregnant, so we left. Yeah. Wow.
So that was one thing.
That's the kind of woman you are.
So that's one crazy thing I've done. That's all? That's all?
No, the other thing was in, it was before that because you were not pregnant. This was maybe in 2003 or 4. I had made that demo with Loyal Oak and then a couple of songs that I did solo with shout out to Hans Cato Christensen. So it was a demo combined with those songs. And this is back in the days where you could walk in Oslo to the offices at
the
Universal.
TV stations and
but we were taking it first to the record companies, to Universal and Sony.
Right.
And you could walk right into their office.
Yeah.
And I did that and just walked right in. Hey, how you doing? A lot of good that did me. Nobody called me back, but we were out there pushing my music, and then we had decided, maybe we should go down to the TV station, TV2. It's called national, covers the entire nation. One of the 2 TV stations that was in Norway back then. And one of my favorite people, I remember this was like one of the first nights after I landed here, after I came to Norway back in 2001. When we moved here, and I was watching TV. I didn't understand a word that was being said. I couldn't speak Norwegian at that time, but I was watching the news because I was curious, what is Norwegian news like? And who was the newscaster? Nils Gunnar Lia. And I thought he had the coolest look. And he speaks with a Ålesund, is it not? Ålesund dialect?
Maybe, I don't know.
Something like that. Different dialect. Out west. Yeah, out west. So it was more of a so-called exotic dialect, and it just sounded cool. I'm like, that is the coolest guy on TV. And I would say that I said that for years. And then lo and behold, we're on our way to TV2, and who do we see walking down the street there in the middle of Oslo? Nils Gunnar Lia. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like a teenager in 1965 seeing the Beatles. I was like, oh my gosh, Nils Gunnar Lia. Very quietly, I wasn't ready to approach him at all. I wasn't going to approach him. But what do? You walk right up to him and grabbed him and handed him my CD, brought him over to me, and we started talking. And the coolest thing that...
he was going to put you on TV.
Here's the thing. It's the coolest thing that never happened. He told me, and this was based on a 5-minute conversation that you and I and Nils Gunnar Lia had in the street there in Oslo. Based on that, he said this is the coolest pitch he's ever gotten from someone, and he is going to put me on. He hooked me up. He had me call.
It's like a morning TV.
Yeah, it's like a morning TV show where musicians and artists come in and perform
Like Good Morning,
live.
like Good Morning
Like Good
America.
Morning America. This is
Right, yeah.
Good Morning Norway. Yeah. So he had put me on there and had booked me. And then here comes this so-called, they called him the Soul King
Oh, gosh.
of Norway. This guy, his name was Sofian.
Sofian, Fløtepus.
And I got kicked off. They sent me an email. They didn't even call me. They sent me an email telling me I got booted because they're going to put Sofian on. Broke my heart. I handled rejection a little bit differently back then. I was so disappointed. So Sofian goes on and performs. And I don't know, he did okay, but he kind of faded away. The Soul King, the Soul King of Norway. I don't know. By the end of that summer, he was gone.
Pretty boy.
So that was the coolest thing that never happened to me. I was that close to getting on national TV. And this was before, hold on, let me back up. That demo did not have Loyal Oak songs on it. This was before, this was before I was with Loyal Oak.
Was it?
Yeah. This was those songs that I recorded with
I'm not
Cup.
so sure.
Yeah, I'm positive. Yeah, I'm positive. Because
Okay.
I remember I had to ask Henning to help me gather up a band
Okay.
to be able to perform on TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was before Loyal Oak.
All right.
Yeah.
The things I do for you.
The things you do for me.
So when are you going to help me finish up in the garage?
You know, you're pretty much on your own. You get the benefits of me having my home gym in there.
Benefits?
Yeah. Look, a happier husband, a more fit husband is a happier and more fit father and husband. Am I right?
Well, yeah, getting back to that. Here you go. Having your room up here. And I had the garage, with my tools, and I could do a little project, and Harlan could come with me, and we were going to set up a painting and, do little arts and crafts and stuff down there. And here you are again, taking that space. What do I have? The kitchen and the bedroom? A line between the kitchen and the bedroom?
People, she's over dramatizing this because the amount of space I need is a space. For those of you who powerlift, you know what I'm talking about. I need it's an IPF, like an Eleiko, like a ER equipment powerlifting setup. Squat and bench combined. That's what? 2 square, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like four square feet.
So how come I have to rearrange the whole garage then?
You overdo things. But see, that's that snoopish touch that you have on everything. See, I would just shove stuff into the corner to be looked through at some other point.
Yeah, but
that's what I would do.
Yeah, but that's and look through at some point,
Well, but see, that's the balance that we have in this. That's the balance that we have in this marriage.
No. See, look at some point. Now we went through some things that been in a box for forever, and then you look through a little of that yesterday, and that had been in there for a long
How do I put this? I'm not good at doing things, but I'm good at getting things done. Does that make sense?
Not really.
No, because when you're good at doing all that stuff. You're doing a great job fixing up the garage. Great. Continue. You have my support.
Oh
from
my
a distance.
goodness.
But
Okay.
when this powerlifting equipment comes,
Then I don't have anything to do in there.
no, that's not true, because again, it's not going to take up the whole. People, we have a good sized garage.
Teasing you, John.
Are you teasing me? Stop teasing me. What?
Careful now! Don't spill anything on your equipment here.
On my mixer, yeah. No, it's some of the cool stuff I found though in that garage yesterday. That textbook from one of my students from back when I was a teacher. This guy's a grown man with a kid and everything, and then to find his, I think it was an English textbook.
And then you threw away your daughter's old school material. Yes, you did.
Well, okay, I threw it away, but I didn't see what it was.
You didn't care.
No, actually, no, because most of that stuff.
You admitting you don't really care about your daughter?
That's not what I said. See, you're putting words in my mouth. I don't care. I didn't care about looking through all of that stuff at all. Not at all. Yeah, but she didn't. She didn't even want that stuff. She didn't even want it.
Really?
Really? That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Oh, don't put ideas in that child's mind.
Talking to you.
Michael Wexler, if you're listening, you'll tell me if there's a need for therapy in this situation my wife and I are having. Shout out to Michael Wexler.
Family therapy.
Psychotherapist, family therapist. Wow. Oh yeah, and then this was rough. You open that box full of old VHS video cassettes, and then we found that one. It was my son, as you people know, as my long time, as my listeners know, I lost my son the 5th of November to a heroin overdose.
Last year.
5th of November, 2019. So we opened this box with all these VHS video cassettes in there, and then there was one where he had written in his own handwriting. Wow, he was young. He must have been 3 or 4 maybe, and he had misspelled his own name. He spelled it J-O-H, a backwards J, O-H-N-N-I-E instead of N-N-Y. And it was a video cassette where it had like 10 hours of old school Bugs Bunny and Warner Brothers cartoons on there. Now, I know all that stuff by heart. And I don't know. I think any good father is going to pass on. If you know Warner Brothers, if you know Bugs Bunny, any good father will pass that on to his children. And I did that for our 2 kids, for Harlan and Savannah, but I also did it for my son Johnny. And we would sit and there's a lot of time put into watching those Bugs Bunny. That was rough to see that. That was rough. Kind of, brings up all of the. You tell me I kind of suppress my grieving process.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Everybody talks about, there's, I don't know, X number of steps in the grieving process and you go through them in this order. I don't believe that. I think the grieving process is individual.
Of course it is,
different.
but you still go through those steps.
Yeah, but it's not like there's I don't know. Well, what are you trying to say? Because I'm not suppressing anything. I'm just living my life.
The suppressing has nothing to do with the grieving steps. I am saying that there's those grieving steps is that's very individual. You can go through them, some of them quickly. You can go a little back and forth, but you are going through all them steps.
Sure, but when you say that I am suppressing my grief,
right?
That's as if I'm breaking the rules of grieving or something.
Oh, gosh, no.
10-yard penalty for breaking the rules of grief. What do you mean by that?
Well, you don't. You kind of hide things. You put it in you and put a lid on it and let it boil, or simmer rather.
I was going to say, because I think you're wrong using the word boil.
Yeah,
but
you don't
it simmers.
Yeah.
But putting a lid on it and portioning it out, I think is quite appropriate for me.
For you, maybe because you see how you reacted yesterday.
Sure, that's rough. Yeah, it was rough. Absolutely.
And you don't. We have little video cassette tapes with him and all that, and I said, well, let's play it and then look at it, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but because I don't want to sit down and watch that, because I don't feel like I'm ready to sit down and watch it. That doesn't mean I'm suppressing anything. That just means I'm not ready to do that. Yeah, okay. And that's my process. Is that wrong? I mean,
no, it's not wrong, but it's I don't know. I guess most people that I've known anyway. When they have lost somebody, or they have when they're grieving, most people say that they want to talk about it.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's a process of getting through everything.
Sure.
Other people, they try to not talk about the sad thing or the person that died or something, and don't want to look at the pictures and all that, and they're trying to kind of jump over that grief is what I use that metaphor in a way, to jump over it and just continue their lives.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm doing that.
So it's kind of hanging. You know, they haven't. Grief is something you have to go through. You cannot.
Course,
yeah.
Of course, but everyone has their own pace. Everyone has their own way of portioning it out. You know, I'm trying to live my life. So for me, it comes out. You know, if I write a new song. For me, it comes out if it comes out now. You know, we're talking about it now. I've talked about it before on other episodes. You and I talk about it from time to time. You know, I'll sit and look at pictures, you know, and things like that. So I'm not sure what you mean about covering it up or hiding it. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You feel challenged? Do you feel challenged right now?
No, you know,
People
I'm
can
trying.
feel the silence. You guys feel that silence?
No,
It has a
listen. I'm a nurse, and I have this thing that I can't expose certain things. I'm not going to do that to you either. Of course, I have what's called tystesplikt. So I'm a little careful about what I'm saying.
What is tystesplikt in English?
Silence. I don't know. What is it?
That means that you just can't do. You have a non-disclosure thing. You cannot talk about a patient's issues with people who don't have any reason to know about
and
it.
it doesn't have to be a patient.
Yeah, or a person. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, my point is how can you say that I'm hiding it? How can you say that I'm covering it up or delaying the process? I don't agree with you.
Okay, don't agree with me.
Yeah, but explain yourself.
No, I can't do that without, you know, exposing too much about you that you don't need to.
See, that's just weird. You know,
We'll take det. Vi tar dette her under 4 vegger. Du er.
There you go. That's the right. That's the right accent.
So, yeah. But you, I'll be here, John, whenever you need me.
As Miss Ellen Eggen says, I'll be around, I assume.
Oh gosh, she has the most beautiful voice.
Check out Ellen, that's Elin, Eggen, Eggen. Check that woman out on, she has her own Facebook page. I believe she's on Instagram as well, and she's on Spotify, and probably on all platforms where you can hear music. Check out her music. The woman sings like an angel. I am so proud to have been able to step in and help her out when she's asked for it. She's a talent. She's a talent.
And it's so relaxing
Yes.
to listen to her sing and her music and her text. Good text. And she's nice.
Yeah. Oh, just the kindest, sweetest woman.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, she's I had her here in the studio before, what was that, maybe a week before the Corona shutdown. Mm-hmm. We had started working on a song that I had written, and she was going to guest.
You got some good friends, John.
I do. Oh my goodness, I'm lucky.
The way they did, when Johnny died, coming over here.
My good brother Henning. My good brother Henning he gathered up. He came with the idea to gather up my closest friends, and they came over here, and we had like a, I guess you could call it a memorial.
Yeah, it was.
Informal memorial service. Mm-hmm. And that was emotional for me. That to be the recipient of that much love and compassion from people, and it wasn't a lot. It was him. It was Henning, Eystein, Elin,
Lasse,
and Ivar. Yeah, and. Yeah, that was. I haven't thought about that in a while. I'm glad you brought that up. Mm-hmm. That's something
it almost
good.
Brings tears to my eyes.
It was very sweet. It was probably one of the sweetest gestures that I have ever received from people. I mean, it was, you lose your son. How do you deal with that? There's no way to deal with that. And then to have my friends acknowledge my problem, I guess,
here's
with that whole thing.
But because people might not know this. He was in the States. You didn't have any.
Yeah, he was in the States. He was. He had a long time heroin problem. Overdosed. I've talked about this on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Overdosed 7 times. It was the 7th time that killed him. So in a way, he was incredibly lucky to survive that many overdoses. But it's also a sign, and I can say this, it's a sign of how weak a person can be in the midst of an addiction. And I say weak in the sense that after a certain number of overdoses, that you have of course, a lot of addicts are in denial, but after a certain amount of overdoses, you have to realize that you need to make a change, but he just didn't have the strength to make that change.
I'd say he didn't have the support, much as support that he should have had either.
And he didn't. I don't want to point fingers at anybody. That's not what I'm all about. That's not what I'm about.
That's what I'm about.
But that's what you're about. But yeah, no, he did not. He didn't have the support that he needed. But it boils down to he didn't have the strength.
Of course, yeah.
He didn't have the strength to tear himself away from that.
And the thing is, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And the thing is, all you got was a phone call saying he was dead, and then there's a click on that phone call. So you didn't have access to his
the way things were, and there's a history,
nothing.
and there's a history to this that we don't need to get into here. But there is a history where it ended up with me being cut out of the entire funeral and burial process.
He was
buried. So to see my friends, to have my friends, come to my rescue. That's what they did.
That was very nice.
It was a beautiful thing. And, I don't want to, I'm waving you off because I don't want to get into the finger pointing and accusations.
No, you're nice.
Fact-based accusations, but accusations. That's I don't see any.
No, it's just I just wanted to explain why people came over here. I guess they
came over here to support me because I didn't have any. I unfortunately couldn't have anything to do with the entire burial process and all that stuff. I was cut out of that, so they came over here to show their support. That was a beautiful thing, and I'll never forget it. Gosh, I love those people. And I haven't thought. I guess I go around loving them every day, but I haven't. So I haven't really thought about that specific incident in a while. But maybe that's part of me. I don't know, blocking. So I haven't thought about that informal memorial service. I haven't thought about that in quite some time.
So,
but shout out to my son. He's up there somewhere. And what a stud he was! What a good-looking guy. He looked like a movie star. He looked like an off-white version of Jim Morrison from The Doors. He was just a handsome, long hair, 5 o'clock shadow, Hollywood romantic figure of a guy. that was him. Oh, what a waste! What a waste!
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So, hey, don't worry, I've been lied to. I can't get that song out of my head. I cannot get that song out of my head. Michael McDonald. The Doobie Brothers.
Okay, well, I've been sitting way too long.
Have you given me enough of your time?
Yes, I have.
Is this it? Have you reached the limit?
That's now I need to get moving here.
Well, I'll be out of your hair while I do the production work on this episode. Okay. See how she loves me, you guys?
I had enough of you right now.
Well, all right, everybody. That's it for this episode. Yeah, we put in some time.
Okay, but now we're done.
She didn't choke. She didn't choke me. I didn't choke her. We actually,
we managed.
We did it. All right, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. Bye, everybody.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Yes, I am. Yes, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Yes, I am. My Lord, oh my Lord. Lord, I'm coming home.